Hey there, how are you all doing? How do you like the title for my video? I thought of maybe doing something cutesy like My Scary Halloween or what was the other one? Donald Trump called and told me that I was fired. Not quite that, but for those of you who might have been listening in or following what little I do post to Facebook these days, hi there, whoever you are. You'll know that I recently. What are you saying? Okay. Anyway, sorry, Corey's saying stuff in the background and I can't hear him. In any case, you see my beautiful new workstation, and I don't have my laptop sitting there because, well, it's not really necessary. But I started this new job a little while ago. I see all the beautiful snacks. Saturday morning, Corey and I went out and we bought a bunch of snacks because I need to have snacks while I'm working. I've got a slow person's digestive. Old person's is my partner. Hi, Lurleen. As my partner Steve used to say, an old man's digestive system. And oh dear, there's political stuff on this Facebook page. I'm gonna put it on something more cheery. Put it on a taxi page. Any case, yeah. So I've got a digestive system that doesn't work all that well sometimes, and I have to eat slow. So I have all these snacks. And so anyway, I started out my new job at S&P Data. Remember that? Remember that name, S&P Data. I should say that the folks that I was working with generally were great folks. I'm going to miss some of them, and they're going to miss me, apparently. But in any case, just to condense the story a little bit, I had a job with, yeah, anyway, had a job, seemed really promising. I made a very good impression on my instructors. We had 3 weeks of instruction, then what was supposed to be 2 to 4 weeks of what they called nesting or lab work. I heard it said, some people had as much as 6 weeks of nesting or lab work. In any case, due to technical issues, oh, hi, whoever said thank you for the reading. You're welcome for the reading. I can't seem to see comments at the moment, unfortunately. There's this weird thing that happens. In any case, my tale of woe, which ends with me being fired. Uh, yes, I'd been at S&P for 3 weeks of training, and because of system issues, I'd missed a number of days effectively of training, and so they put me back a week, and I stayed an extra week with another delightful instructor. Both of my instructors were very nice, very human, and all that. And we were told that following the instruction, which was going to be the easiest part of things, they had to tell us honestly, we're going to have 2 to 4 weeks of what they called nesting or lab work. So that's when, supposedly, with lots of support, you'd start actually taking calls from customers to resolve their issues and hopefully find a better deal for them or something like that. I won't go into the great details of it, but it was a very challenging job. It required my total concentration. And yeah, and so it also required an awful lot of sitting. And just to sort of turn back here for now, you'll know sort of we got the chair with all. Yeah, I'm telling the story. Thank you, Cinda, because it deserves to be told. I sort of not had so much problem with my sciatica during training because it wasn't quite so intense that I had to sort of be at the table engaged. I could sort of stand up, look at the computer and stuff, but with the actual job, both hands on the table, manipulating mouse and keyboard, listening to clients, and very intense work. And I have a lot of sympathy for people who work in call centers now. Not that I didn't already, but I have even more now. So in any case, yeah, I don't all do snacks. And so because of some health issues, including the sciatica and my epilepsy, unfortunately, I had to have some further days off. So effectively, I hadn't even done I'm sitting now. I can only sit so much, but I can only stand so much. What am I to do with myself? Anyway, here's my tale of woe. After 4 4 weeks of training where I seemed to be liked and appreciated, and everybody thought I was just going to do fabulous. That, if there were any, well, we were promised if there were any areas for development. I'll turn back to my face now. You don't have to look at my workstation. I'm more interesting to watch than my computer. In any case, with regards to any shortcomings that we might have as an agent, contact, call center representative, whatever, we were promised that we'd get one-on-one coaching, and that any areas for improvement would be coached. So, well, the reality of that wasn't, hi Shanda, reality of that wasn't quite what we were told, but I'm not casting too much blame here, because the support staff, why did you not play? Good one, Rick. I didn't have my blue deck with me. I didn't only had my white deck with me. All I could play was defense, and if so they could attack me all they want, but they couldn't really hurt me, but they could still fire me. So yeah, I didn't have my blue counter spell deck with me, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would have twiddled them both. That means I would have tapped them. That means turned them sideways. That means they couldn't activate their special powers. Any case, Rick, you shouldn't have got me going. Any case, good times, good times. Yeah. So I had this 2 weeks of nesting, and that's when we started taking calls. And then, to the best of our ability, we're supposed to take actual customers with actual problems. Whoever just said would like a private reading, sure, I'd be happy to now that I'm out of work, and have more time for my own projects. I'm at once sort of kind of unhappy because, well, I don't have this revenue stream guaranteed anymore, and it had really seemed promising, because it was the sort of work I felt I could do really good at given time. It would involve cell phones, which I'm kind of indifferent to, even though I'm using one right now to make this podcast, and so there's a lot for me to catch up on. But nevertheless, I've been promised that if there were shortcomings in our performance, that we would be, or areas for improvement was what they said, we would be given one-on-one coaching for ways that we could improve. This never happened. The support staff that were around generally seemed to be attending mostly to other people, and I took this because I can be really good at de-escalating things, and so while other of my fellow agents had people yelling at them and yelling at them some more and yelling at them all day apparently and just being totally unreasonable, I don't think I had a single person yell at me. I think almost hello Bong, sorry I haven't called you yet. It's been kind of busy. Hi, Kristen. Wow, all these people tuning in to hear my tale of woe with S&P data. I think I'm allowed to say that S&P data let me know with no notice or any reason given other than I wasn't a good fit. And when pressed a little bit, the person in question, Steve Gledhill, said, "Oh, I didn't have the consistency or speed." Why? Yes, and why did they fire me? Okay, I'll get to the end of the story, and then I'll fill out the middle a little bit. I'd heard, after my issues with sciatica, which make it difficult for me to sit for a while, and with my epilepsy, which makes I've had 2 grand mal seizures in the last number of months, haven't found a medication which necessarily controls it yet. I felt it wise not to be too tired out, and so I asked, could I do part-time? Could I do part-time? And this was on Tuesday of last week, when I spoke to Angela Warren at S&P Data, HR, Angela Warren.
Don't be too specific, please. You can.
I want names, Anyway, she told me, I talked to her about my difficulties. I told her that basically with the sciatica, I couldn't sit down too much, and with the epilepsy, that I didn't want to be too worn out. It was a very demanding job. I figured I could do it, and what I told her was my self-assessment was that I was very good at making people feel better who called to us. I wasn't as good at resolving their issues as I would like to have been. I was getting better at it. In fact, the day after I was fired, I saw somebody posting a question, how do I do this? Which was something that I knew full well how to do and had done twice already. So, but in any case, what happened was, okay, Tuesday talking to person at HR, could I work part-time? Was supposed to get back to me either later that day, Tuesday, or next day, Wednesday. Did not happen in either case. So, me being the patient sort that I can be, though I'll mention as a point that sometimes it's not good to be patient. Sometimes you can be too patient. Like if you're just sort of waiting for somebody to call you and they're not calling you. Hi, Lisa. It's been a long time. And Yeah, nobody ever calls me because I never call them. I'm not much of a phone person. But in any case, yeah, you just heard, why is nobody calling? Oh, the phone's disconnected. Yeah, anyway, not a good example for my being too patient. But in any case, I waited till Thursday, and then I called. And because I'd had no word from anybody, I had called in sick a few days because of the sciatica issues, making it difficult for me to sit even like 5 minutes. The 5 days off, and I've consciously adopted a lifestyle over the years which requires very little sitting. And so I'm always up and around the house doing things. And so I'm kind of better now. And so I can afford to sit a little bit and do this video. But I'm going to be up after a while. After an hour, I'm not going to be stuck on my chair for like 2 or 3 hours. Or, it's not quite that. Anyway, the sciatica was coming back with vengeance. It crippled me. Yeah, it was better for me to sit on my cajon than it was on a chair. The sciatica which crippled me in 2008 when I lost my partner, Steve, it was something I had to take seriously. And so, that plus the fact that I'd been off work for several months, I asked him, please, part-time. No, well, maybe I took too long. Oh, no, Cinda. I answered people as soon as the call came in. In any case, like, without going into the details of how all this went, there was a ring, 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 ring. I answered it. Sometimes the call took a while, but that was expected. Once again, we were told to expect that at the beginning it would take a while for us to complete our calls. In any case, that was not the reason I was given. So I was just trying to finish my time frame here. It's Thursday. I called and talked to the person at their attendance line to say that I wasn't going to be in because I'd not heard from anybody, and I didn't know if I was approved for part-time work or not, or even if they planned to keep me. And so she seemed a little disgruntled at this, but she went off and talked to the person in HR whom I mentioned earlier.
She said you had value.
Hi, Marty. Yeah. Oh, no. Well, when I talked to Angela Warren on Tuesday, she said that she thought that I was a good worker, that I was well-spoken, that I added value. She did not seem to think that I was just sort of this far from being immediately terminated. No, this seems to have come to a surprise to everybody else at this place. So the people that I was with, and that includes Angela Warren. I'm not here. I said some nasty things in a message to her. I said she should be ashamed of herself because, well, I'd heard she seemed to be open to the idea of me working part-time and seemed to be understanding. And being an older person herself, she understands the concept of body parts wearing out. I'm not as young as I look and appear and would like to think I am. I'm 55. Freedom 55. Any case. So yeah, she seemed as if this was going to be doable, that it wasn't a big thing. And so I called on Thursday because I still hadn't heard from Angela on Tuesday or Wednesday as I had been promised. I called Thursday and got the person on the attendance line, and she said, okay, she went away and she talked to Angela and came back to tell me that I had been approved for part-time work. This was on Thursday. I had been approved for part-time work. Yeah, I'm sorry about it. I'm partially sorry, Brittany, and partially happy because, of course, now I have more time for my music and for my tarot cards and for my singing bowls and for Gladwin and for Corey and for my friends. I'd say come visit, except for, of course, what sort of situation we're in these days.
Scotty.
Yeah. Anyway, yes, scary stuff. But in any case, so as of Thursday, it was my understanding about talking to the person and their attendance line that I had been approved for part-time work. Nothing had been said to me in the way of absolutely dreadful performance. I just had to do something or they're going to let me go. So I went to work Friday. I went to work Saturday. And, as I said, we went out Saturday morning, got lots of snacks. So I could have snacks while I worked. And on Saturday, for the first time ever, and this is actually something I had been expecting was going to be happening, is that they had this thing called Y-jacking. I know maybe seems a weird phrase, but that's what they called it. But what basically meant is one person called, and in my case, 4 other people listened while I called, listened to my call. And in theory, if I had any problems or issues or whatever, they could sort of speak up or send me a message. Now, in actuality, they couldn't physically speak, as in make themselves heard audibly, unless I put the client on hold. And I got into the habit of doing that very, very rarely, because it's annoying, even if you ask their permission. So I got into the habit of saying, yeah, corporate bloodsuckers. Yeah, age is making it hard. Yeah, you understand, eh? They don't. You see, this is what. Okay, I'll get to what of course, what I think was the reason I was let go and how it happened. Is I've been asking for feedback. Once again, we were promised one-on-one personal coaching and training and feedback and all this sort of stuff, and it never happened. And like I was saying earlier, my guess is because well, some people are bad communicators, and it's just difficult to communicate. It is freaking difficult to communicate, even for people who are devoted to it. No, it's just difficult to communicate. Like Corey is kind of saying, not for adults. No, no, no. I say it's difficult to communicate, even when everybody's trying and everybody's good at it. It's very easy to make misconceptions and just misinterpret things. It is. He's still not agreed. He's still not agreed, and I'm just saying, well, he's still not agreed. So you can decide whether or not you agree with me. Any case.
It sounds like you're siding with that soup you dislike.
Ah, would you stop? He says it sounds like I'm siding with that soup I dislike. I'm trying to be open-minded and be friendly, try to be friendly even towards people that I did not find personally approachable or even likable. Most of the people that I had as team leaders or supervisors, whatever you like to call them, were wonderful. There was one in particular, though, had basically nothing but much to say that wasn't negative. It was mostly sort of, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, and some of it was wrong. So you shouldn't be signed into this, or that. You shouldn't be signed into anything at all. Sorry, I'm dramatic. In any case, no, he wasn't very, but I'm just saying, hey, he was busy. He had a lot of responsibilities. I'll cut him some slack. So, just a little bit of slack. Other people seemed to like him. Other people seemed to like him. Just wasn't a good chemistry thing. Hi, Jason. Yeah, I was like, oh, from S&P. And there's a certain fellow who's a team leader and pretty young. Lots of people seem to like him. He didn't seem to like me very much, but I could be misinterpreting. In any case, that's not all the point here. We're getting digressed here. Is that so far as I was aware, from the people that were listening to me during this thing called Yjacking, that's where I take the call and everybody else listens to me, and in theory provides as advice where I don't know what to do and stuff. They said, and it seems genuine, that I was doing great. And like as I said, I feel that I didn't get the support. Hi, Jason. That I would have liked because my team leaders were overwhelmed with demand and I didn't have people yelling at me. To put it in context of me at the hospital, I've had to go to the hospital sometimes with my digestive problems. Maybe it's just food poisoning or something. I was in a lot of pain. But, I was there moaning for hours, doubled over in pain, while people with heart attacks and accidents and whatnot got treated first. Now, how can I argue with that? I can't argue that they should have gotten lesser priority with me than me. I could argue that, yeah, I wish we had more medical people. So in this case, yeah, I would have liked more support staff. Any case. So this was what was going on. My fellow watchers who listened in on 2 or 3 of my calls, and during 2 of those calls, part of our thing was to see if we could get our person who called us to recommend this company that we were doing work for to their friends and family. And 2 of them, I didn't have all that many calls. 2 of them said, yeah, they seemed really happy with me. But come noon. Okay, no, actually, first, this fellow who wasn't all that sympathetic, but like I said, was really just probably overworked, gave me some training to do. And I did this training, and after the training, I was supposed to get some coaching. Well, it took me a while to do the training because I'd missed some training because I'd missed some days. And so I didn't get there as fast, and so coaching time came, it was lunch. Lunchtime came. And by the way, I never got a call or an email because actually when I was told that I was going to be confirmed, approved for part-time work, I was supposed to get an email confirming this from HR. I have to stand now because my sciatica is beginning to bother me. And this email never came. So when I got this, here I'll stand on one leg instead. Anyway, when I got this Teams call from Stephen Gledhill, the operations manager of that particular portion of S&P data, which covers a lot of places, I was expecting that it was going to be to tell me the details of my part-time work. Imagine my surprise when he sort of, not daring to show his face incidentally on Teams while he was firing me, while he was telling me I was being fired, he said I just wasn't a good fit. They thought about it, and they looked at my performance and listened and went, they just thought I wasn't a good fit. That's kind of like that thing, isn't it? That's not an explanation. You don't fit in here. I don't fit in there. Oh, they're so inclusive. One of the people who listened in on my call thought that maybe it was a gay issue. I don't think I swish all that much, but I also don't particularly hide it, and I probably mentioned at some point, and maybe this had gotten to this guy. I myself think it was that they didn't want this. They wanted people who could take this tremendously demanding job, and here's where the ageism comes in, and be able to do it. And I think I could have given some time, and in fact I was promised time. I hadn't even 2 weeks of nesting, do you know? They were supposed to be, hi Evan, there were supposed to be 2 weeks of nesting. See, I'm standing on one leg here to take off the pressure on one leg, on one foot. Any case, I didn't get even 2 weeks of nesting in due to the fact that I had to miss some days. So, without giving me even the full amount of time that people were supposed to be allowed in lab work or nesting, this guy just telling me that I was terminated immediately. I'd had no feedback from anybody, no negative feedback. All the feedback I'd had from team leaders and or other people, including the ones who listened in on my calls, and were as shocked as I was that I'd been terminated. They said, and I have no reason just to disbelieve their sincerity, that I was doing good, that I was great, that they listened to other calls. One of them expressed the opinion that, he didn't put it quite so bluntly, but he expressed the opinion some people didn't like the different, the progressive. And by which, it's sort of like, well, they didn't want a gay pagan with sciatica and epilepsy on board. And of course he couldn't say that, because that's a human rights thing. Hi, Jody. That's a human rights thing, so far as I'm aware. And also the age thing, too. So, yeah, like after having been assured on Thursday that there was going to be part-time work for me available for me to ease into after having been off work for a number of months, or whatever. Like I said, all the reasons I gave. Steve Gledhill, the owner, called me up on Teams and told me I wasn't a good fit. And when pressed, I said, oh, you didn't have the speed or consistency. Which, I was given fully to understand was not expected at the beginning. And like I said, I hadn't even done my first 2 out of possibly 4 weeks of nesting or lab work. So, just Steve Gledhill seems to have decided that I just had to go right away. No ifs, ands, or buts. He wished me good luck. I said, well, possibly, I've got a lot of skills. I'm really good at data entry, for example, and he seemed to agree with that. And, maybe some other part of S&P. And he encouraged me to look at the listings in Indeed. He said, just because I didn't work out there didn't mean I couldn't work out there. But what it meant was I was still fired. There was no salvaging a position at S&P. He was not going to find me any other position there that, I'd been there like at least 5 weeks, 6 weeks. They had a good idea of what sort of person I was, and everybody else seemed to think I was doing great. So, yeah, so I think I've told most of the story now. Corey will tell me if I'm going on too long, because I do tend to go on too long. Apparently it's an Aspergerian thing. But yeah, so like 2 days after having, 4 days after having first broached the subject, well, actually, I've been inquiring of this young man who wasn't very friendly. Liam, he went by the name of, and he's on Facebook if you ever want to look him up. I'm not looking him up. No, anyway. Corey's saying, careful. Anyway, I've been inquiring of him about the part-time for a while, because it was possible that my partner was interested in part-time work there, because it really seemed great at the first. My coworkers, it was very techy. I love helping people. Part of our job was to help people and also to empathize with them, because they all came to us with these issues. Some of them were heart-rending. And, to a certain extent, I have to say, say, we're actually being paid to be a little bit of counselors here too, aren't we? But any case, the skills I learned there are really great skills, just really great life skills. Now I have time to draw my life, and actually I get to enjoy this good weather that's coming up this week with highs near 15, I think, on Thursday. And I'm standing on my other leg now because of my damn sciatica. See, this is the thing. I just have to keep in motion. I can't stay still very, very long.
That's why you have to
I can't sit. I can't.
Just
yeah.
created.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I realized that, hey, I do have. Yep. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be better. We're going to be better. But yeah, I just realized the other day that this beautiful table that we got from this cool old lady. Hi, Kevin. My goodness.
It's cool old lady Kevin.
This cool lady Kevin. Yes, this cool old lady who lived in the neighborhood. She was selling some beautiful furniture and stuff at a garage sale. I got this beautiful table from her and realized, hey, I could use this to elevate my workstation. And I should mention too, of course, that I bought some extra equipment like this new keyboard and mouse and this thingy here so I could connect my beautiful 27-inch monitor and the Ethernet cable. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, and after all of that, like I said, on Saturday I get a call from...
The system messed with other things on your computer.
Oh, there were other issues, you know. Their software that I had to work under was kind of annoying. But the long and short of this was, I was there, I seemed to be making a good impression, I had nothing but positive feedback from the people that I was asking, and from my fellow agents. I was liked, by my fellow agents, and so far as I'm aware, by most of my team leaders and supervisors. And then, after having been discussing with Angela Warren on Tuesday the possibility of part-time work and her seeming to understand the needs why, because of my sciatica and epilepsy and possibly also age, she seemed to think it was possible. And then, after having gotten no call back from her, as I was supposed to have, on either Tuesday or Wednesday, on Thursday I called her attendance line. Person there went and talked to Angela, came back, told me I was approved for part-time work on Thursday, went to work Friday, went to work Saturday noon. Just after training assigned to me by one of my team leaders, I get a call from Stephen Gledhill on Teams, who told me I wasn't a good fit, and when pressed a little bit told me that I just didn't have the speed or consistency, and I was fired. No chance to do anything. If my job had been so crappy as to warrant immediate termination, I think it would have been humanly decent of them to have told me sometime earlier, so I could have mended my ways. In any case, I've been going on for a while now. Thank you all for watching and for your sympathy and for your care. And yeah, I now have more time for my tarot readings, more time for my music, more time for my loved ones, and more time for me. Just not as much money. So,
Send it to me.
so send it to me. Yeah, I'll send you something in return. I'm not sure what, but it'll be good. Take care.